Welcome to episode 2. In the previous episode, I started this hike at dawn and I crossed 3 different trestle and bridge structures. Enjoy episode 2. Here's the big picture of Vancouver Island on the west coast of British Columbia, and the red circle is my hike location between Port Alberni and Parksville. Here's a close-in view of central Vancouver Island. The railway is shown with the little white squares. Those are the mile markers. And it's the Port Alberni subdivision that runs from right to left, Parksville to Port Alberni, and the red spot is where I hiked between the Alberni summit and Cameron Lake. Here's a close-in map showing the location, Cameron Lake, Highway 4 in white, and I've colored in black the railway. And my overall hike is in red, starts at milepost 20.6, goes to 16.6, and then return. So that's a nice 4 miles out, 4 miles back, and the total return distance in kilometers is 12.8. I call that 13. The start and end point of my hike is marked in the orange circle at the bottom of the map. That's really close to Highway 4 on the steep eastern slope of the Alberni summit. And there's my turnaround point, the orange circle at the top of the map. That's above the west end of Cameron Lake. In episode 2, I start my hike at the bottom part of this red line, the mile 17.5 trestle, and I work my way up to my turnaround point around mile 16.6. That's the top of the red line. Then I work my way back to around mile 18, and that's the blue line. And here comes the mile 17.5 trestle over something the railway calls Mountain Creek. This is probably my favorite of the 4 that I'm seeing today. That's because of just the setting, the trees. It's got a nice open curve, good visibility on it. Fun to walk across, fun to take a break on. Yeah, I like it. It's a nice S curve. We're curving to the left, or we just did. Coming around the corner there. And then the curve to the right on the trestle. Really cute, beautiful location. The sound is wonderful too. Yeah. Okay, let's check it out closer. There's no issues walking the deck for me on this one. Nice and clean. Here's the one fire barrel platform. Let's just check the timbers. This one here. This bears the load, and it's not bad. Actually, none of these are bad. Oh yeah, I love this. I love this spot right here. Okay, monopod is extended, and let's send it over. During the political lobbying campaign for restoring the railway during 2022 and early 2023, a photograph of mine from this exact spot, this angle, got a lot of traction in some media articles, and it was used often, and it was from autumn 2019, and lovely fall colors, but this lovely down the Trestle view. I was really happy with the use of that photograph and always pleased to see it. Here I am at the edge of the east end abutment, showing you the detail of the trestle. I have plans to someday walk from one end to the other underneath, but today is not that day. It's going to be at a time of year without a lot of tree growth, a lot of leaves, so that would be early winter, early spring. Okay, let's continue walking eastward. Here's some rail that was replaced. I think this is the bent portion. I often get people asking me about markings on the rails. Here we are, Algoma steel, 80 pounds, 1905, CPR. That bit of rail there was taken out because I think it was wrecked in a big windfall tree coming down and clunking the rail. I got some nice spring grass here. Feels nice to walk through. Pleasant. I'm around where the mile 17 post would be if it was still up, and I want to straight away now coming down to an area of recent and probably historical rockfall and windfall where there's just been damage over the years. Just a big tangle of windfalls up there, up the slope and nearby. And the rocks came from way above, I think. Went for a good tumble. Here's the area where the rails had the biggest break. There's the reason. Big rock. Thankfully the rock stopped there. Didn't continue on down. It's a simple matter to walk over these guys. That's usually what I say before I do something like trip and fall or clunk my head. Pride goes before a fall. Okay, let's go into the sun. I love this area. This is close to my turnaround here at mile 16.7 or so. So beautiful. Well, beautiful to me. I mean, it looks like a bunch of rocks on rails with a bunch of trees. I just like this spot. I often take a break here on these rocks. Through there are peekaboo views of the lake. If we rewound the clock 50 years, wow, you'd have a nice lake view. And I've seen photos of that back when Wanda Fuca Railway Club would charter a Dayliner car on a Sunday and come up from Victoria all the way to Port Alberni. They'd stop here and do photos. I wish I could go back in time and be on one of those trips. I'd probably annoy Dave Wilkie with all my questions, but it would be fun. And I've arrived at my turnaround point, about mile 16.6. This is the extent of the fiber optic cable project clearing. They cleared this little area. My theory is this was so they could turn around their equipment here. There's again a peekaboo view of the lake. Not much. Looking into the morning sun. And further eastward on the railway is where the broom starts up. So I have no desire to go down there. Just walk you down a bit after saying that. This carries on to where the cabin road trail comes up from the lake cabins. People use that to go up to Mount Horn, Mount Wesley. Yeah, and the broom in bloom with the yellow. Okay, let's go back. It's been about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so getting down here. It'll be about the same thing back, so that's a good walk of close to 5 hours for what I think is about 13 kilometers return. Yeah, I look forward to coming back here later in autumn when I can continue on to mile 16. That's because I think the ticks are dead by then, and so it's safe for me to brush on through the broom, have it brush up against me constantly. Now that I am a retired individual, I'm hoping that I'll be able to just come up here more readily, and no matter what the day of the week, when the weather allows and when I feel like doing it, hopefully I just get to see these kinds of interesting places more and more. Okay, here's the railway at mile 16.7, my little break time place. I'm just curious what it's like down here. Let's carefully go. It's this little outcropping of a rock looking down the slope. Looks like there's some fence, some wire, or who knows what. Oh, I know what it is. There's a pole. That might have been a pole from the telegraph line era of the railway. It's the lake through there. Yeah. If you look at it from the side, yeah, that definitely is a pole. Here, let's do this. Telegraph line pole. And guy wires have come down, and I can see the guy wires around on this side and on the far side holding that bit of the pole. Okay, well, that was interesting to me. Sometimes it takes me forever to figure out what obvious things are. And there's the lake through there, brightened up by the morning sun. And let's go up. It's a little bit of metal here, kind of bent around. I think it had something to do with the telegraph line. Or maybe it just held a bunch of ties together, a bundle, and then they discarded it. Hey, it's my animal call whenever I come blindly back into an area around a corner or so. That's what I do to stay safe. or to let the animals know I'm here so the cougars can get ready to pounce. Well, until next time. Again, coming down this far, easy to do for me in any season. Well, unless the snow is really horrible. These return legs are always a bit shorter in video length, and now it's really just enjoying the walk and showing you the highlights, and sometimes the view is different. Here comes a couple windfalls close to the area where the rail had been broken. It's the biggest rock that I've seen come down in the 5 springs that I've been coming to this area. But I'm sure there have been bigger, and there will be again. And let's just imagine the mile 17 post standing here. Pretend to see the sign. Here's that nice grass. Growing up on a small hobby farm, I was always attuned to the grass at this time of year, getting close to haying season. Back at that mile 17.5 trestle. I love this one. It's great coming back to my favorite spots. This hike especially is just isolated and not many people come here. So it's got that special hidden away feel to it because it's harder to get to. Until next time. Who knows when? This is the communication tower at the top of Mount Wesley or Mount Horn. I just say those names together because I don't know which is which. And that's where I am. About mile 17.9 on the railway. Thanks very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this. By the way, welcome to my home studio. In the next episode, the final episode, you'll see me look inside a trestle. You'll see me find a bunch of army helmets. And you'll see me finally end this hike. The The completion of my editing and the upload of this video is over a week after the start of a wildfire. That fire started about 12 hours after the end of my hike. Here's my overall map showing my hike with the red line, and the circle with the F is where the fire was at the time of this video's upload. And here's a closer look of my crudely drawn lines on the map showing the area of the hike and the fire. And here's the BC Wildfire website map of the area with the fire inside the red mark. This fire has resulted in the closure of Highway 4 seen in this map, and as a result I would not be able to do this hike today, the day of uploading, or likely in the next few days or weeks. The possible date of the highway reopening is unknown at the time of this video's upload.